I'd like to call this meeting of the planning board to order. If everyone would please rise for the pledge of allegiance.
Well, how did I change that?
One's over there.
I screwed us up too.
Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Doug, I'm going to report you to the pledge.
No, somebody else did it. I was looking over there too, and
That's where it's supposed to be. Oh, my apologies.
Hey, Lisa's in the room.
Yes.
Lisa's here.
First item on the agenda is the approval of minutes, May 16, 2024. We do not have those before us, so we'll defer those to a future meeting. Minutes of August 15, 2024 as well, we do not have at this time, so we'll defer the review of those until a future meeting. Next item on the agenda is the possible extension or abandonment of applications pursuant to town code. First one being Hamiltonian Park, Section F. I have correspondence here from Andrew Leiter, attorney at law, to the town planning board dated August 26, 2024, regarding Hamiltonian Park, Section F. Chairman and planning board members. The subject application for a major subdivision approval was granted conditional approval in September of 2020 and most recently issued a 6-month extension in March of 2024. At this time, the applicant is requesting an additional 6-month extension as the applicant addresses meeting the various conditions of approval. The applicant recently resolved its dispute with the original engineer, allowing the project to proceed. What was then delayed by the replacement engineering firm, Lankin Tully, becoming the town of Goshen's engineering firm. This has caused the applicant to hire a third engineering firm to complete the project, further delaying its completion. If you have any questions, please contact my office. Very truly yours, Andrew Leiter. Sean, do we have anything to add to that?
I don't, Mr. Chairman, but I represented the applicants here.
Is there anything you would like to speak on in this application that's not in this correspondence?
No, that's
Okay.
pretty much it.
Okay. Any comments from the board?
I'll make a motion for the extension.
Oh, we'll get there.
Okay. So maybe we send right to it.
First we have to find out what the extension is going to be, Ashley.
So 6 months would be till March 6th, 2025.
Okay, Neil, can I have that motion?
I'll make that motion, please.
Okay, extension till March 6, 2025 for the major subdivision approval. Can I have a second?
I'll second.
Diana, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Against? Okay. Thank you. You're all set.
Thank you.
Have a good evening.
You too. Thank you very much.
Next item on the agenda is possible extension of abandonment audio, 11 Gerda Lane. And we have correspondence from Tanya Mahoney Ryder, attorneys at law, dated August 20th, 2024. Addressed to the chairman and planning board, request for an extension of conditional approval for All in Audio Incorporated, 11 Gerda Lane. Dear chairman and members of the planning board, we represent All in Audio, the applicant, in connection with the redevelopment of the above referenced property. On March 21st, 2024, the planning board adopted an amended resolution of conditional approval, otherwise known as the amended approval, which modified, removed some of the conditions to allow multiple dwelling units, housing for agricultural workers in buildings 7, 9, and 10, as shown in the plans referenced in the amended approval. In accordance with the amended approval, the conditions must be completed and the plans signed by the chair within 6 months or by September 21st, 2024. We've been actively working on the conditions of amended approval. One of the conditions of the amended approval involved approval by the Orange County Department of Health for the water supply and septic system. It is my understanding that the water system has been approved by the DOH, however, the septic system is still under review. The applicant's engineers made its second submission last week in response to DOH's initial comments. Despite our efforts, we do not anticipate DOH approval prior to September 21st, 2024. Thus, we respectfully request an extension of the amended approval. Given the above, we ask the planning board grant an extension of the amended approval. The applicant has been diligently working on completing all the conditions of the amended approval, but needs a little more time. Neither the proposal nor surrounding circumstances have changed since March 21st of 2024. Please place this on the planning board's next agenda so the planning board can discuss this minor request. In the interim, feel free to contact me with any questions or comments. Very truly yours, John First. Sean?
I spoke to the applicant's attorney, and he indicated what he said in the letter, that they are with the outside agencies, and a representative from the applicant is here this evening.
Okay. And I will confirm that it is in the Orange County Department of Health's hands right now for the review. I saw the plans today. Comments from the board?
No comments.
And anything that you wish to add?
Nothing additional.
Okay. In that case, 6-month extension would take us to what?
March 20th, 2025.
March 20th. Could I have a motion then to extend the conditional approval for all the audio to March 20th, 2025?
I'll make the motion.
Marty, second by? Eric, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Against? Okay. You're all set?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good evening.
You as well. Next item on the agenda is a public hearing for 17M Flex Building, 12-2-43. An application for a site plan and special permit approval for a warehouse and office on 8.9 plus or minus acres along New York State Route 17M at Cannon Hill Drive in an I-zone with an AQ3 floodplain and ponding stream corridor and water supply watershed overlays. Sean?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, so you recall that this was last discussed at your August 1st meeting. At that time, you opened the public hearing. You received one comment regarding a possible balloon test. You tabled a decision on the balloon test until after you heard back from the DOT. You're also looking for DOT's input relative to the potential left-hand turn lane, as well as the earth berm. The applicant did forward an email from the DOT indicating that they need additional information, specifically a traffic impact study regarding the left-hand turn lane. The berm, they said, was allowable and it's outside the right-of-way, as long as it does not impact site distances. So the applicant's going to have to
This is the size of the machine.
the applicant's going to have to demonstrate that to the DOT. So this is listed this evening for continuation of the public hearing, so my recommendation of that, otherwise, would be to see if there's any further public comment on this, and then adjourn.
First off, do we have anyone from the public here for this public hearing?
3,000 feet from County Route 37.
To speak, Lee?
No, not to speak, just asking if you're here. You'll have your turn, I'll call on you. I just wanted to make sure we had some individuals here that wish to say something. Before we open a public hearing, I'm going to open it up to our board, see if there's any further comments, and then I'll open up the public hearing.
That's one?
No further comments.
No.
Nothing new, okay. In that case, I will open the I need a motion to open the public hearing.
You had already opened it at your last meeting?
Do we have to reopen it?
No, it's continued, it's already.
Okay, so we're open. Oh, even easier. Okay, what I'll ask you to do, sir, if you have any comments on the application project, if you'll just state your name and your address, and then your comment or concern for the record.
Good evening, my name's Chris Healy, 24 Howard Court, Goshen, New York.
You were here on our last public hearing.
I was here last
Yes,
public
you were our
meeting.
speaker, okay.
I enjoy these meetings. Chairman Burgess, last we spoke, I did ask for a balloon test. I think it is prudent and reasonable, as you are talking about adding a berm to what is now a clear sight line. And hearing Mr. Hoffman, he says that this will somehow fall within the DOT, if I'm not mistaken.
The DOT said that the berm, they would only allow the berm if it does not have any impact in their determination on site distances at that intersection.
And do you know if the DOT would require a balloon test for that, or is that,
They usually do not.
but some kind of very fancy science that they'll know that it's,
Likely surveyor by a New York State licensed surveyor.
okay. I did go online and I happened to see that we were talking about turning trucks, big trucks would be going in and out of this site. All I could find on the town website was a few drawings of trucks. I think this is a joke. I don't think this could possibly be real. Every line drawing here shows the truck rubbing against a curb. This has to be the absolute tightest parking lot I've ever seen. And 18-wheelers are only getting bigger. Every time you're out on the highway, you just see them getting bigger and bigger. This seems like the applicant is absolutely stuffing all 10 pounds in a 10-pound bag. There is no room for error in this if you've seen these drawings. This is as tight as I've ever seen it. I understand that the applicant wants to get maximum value for their property. I get it. But to what end? To what cost do we allow this, where you're asking for a problem? I almost want to set up a tire shop across the street, and as trailers hit the curb, they blow out a tire. I'm making a fortune. This does not seem reasonable. I would ask that the board consider denying the permit, denying the job based on these drawings. The other thing about these drawings is I don't see a single number on here for a radius or an arc or an angle. This is really just basically somebody drawing a line saying, see, we can get it inside the parking
Not as
lot.
simple as that, and Sean, if you would explain how that's handled with the.
Yeah, and Mr. Haley, they are very difficult to read, even at a full-size scale of 24 by 36 sheets. So on a small scale like you have in your hand, I can understand that there is some confusion with it. So typically what the applicant does, it's a digital modeling, right? So the site is surveyed, then they put the building on and the roads on the plan, and then they run a truck, digital truck through there. I believe they modeled a WB67, I don't recall specifically. Was there any other questions that you had? on it,
Just
or-
that, Mr. Hoffman, you are protecting the town by making sure that this is a legitimate drawing. Is that true?
That is the intent.
I mean, you're the only civil engineer in the room, right?
Well, there's actually a few of us.
Oh, okay. Well, I
We have one
appreciate,
back there, we have one up here.
Chairman Burgess, I appreciate that you absolutely know what you're looking at. As a layman, I don't, but having driven trucks for a good part of my life, knowing Cannon Hill Drive the way I do, and enjoying that open sight line, I'm very, very cautious to say, putting a berm with trees on top of the berm, especially coming out of Cannon Hill as you're trying to get speed to make it up the hill, this has all the makings of a disaster. Property injury is one thing, personal injury and death is another. That intersection is dangerous. If the DOT will throw a light in there, all the better. And for us.
They certainly have the plans to look at in terms of the accessibility in and out, you know, whether it's additional turning lanes, whether there's any widening of shoulders, anything that needs to be done to accommodate that intersection.
And Mr. Hoffman, does the DOT get involved in they're involved with the roads,
Correct.
but do they get involved with, they don't get involved
Not
in
in
We're
terms-
talking about two different things. I think you're talking right now about the circulation on site.
Mhm.
Right, okay. So no, DOT does not get involved with that. I can, you had asked about radiuses and things like that. Usually those will get put on towards the end of the project before the chairman signs the plan, because the applicant's not gonna go through the trouble of all that detailed design work when something may change at the planning board level. So that, rest assured, gets done at the end of the project.
My concern is variances have been granted, one entrance instead of two, setback was moved, etc. So we're getting outside of the code, which does set precedent, it's another problem, but this becomes a customized site plan, if you will. And yes, it does take the DOT and it takes our board to recognize and say, you're really stuffing everything in here. I look forward to seeing what the DOT says. I still have concerns about the sightline distance. I think we live in this town, we probably all do. We've all been down that road. I would like to see a balloon test if the DOT would make sure that happens, or at least see the computer modeling to make sure that this will actually work. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, I agree with all your comments, and I think we really do need to wait until after the DOT makes any changes that they're going to insist on or not. After they make their decision, I think then we have to look at it again for us.
Thank you, Mr. Halloran.
Do we have other comments from the public? Comments from the board?
I have no-
Okay. Ashley, do we just have, do we need a motion
So
to adjourn
motion to
further?
adjourn the public hearing, and I think the date we discussed was November?
Yeah, I have not spoken to the applicant. I was hoping they would be here this
To give them
evening.
some lead time to get a response back from
Figure out
DOT?
how long they're going to need to produce that and then calculate DOT's response time. So I would say at least November, if not December. That gives them a month and a couple weeks for DOT to get back to them. I don't know if it's gonna happen that way, but
Well,
essentially like a control date. And at that point,
And
you
if it's
could-
not done at that point, we could always further
Yes.
adjourn
Correct.
Okay. We're gonna open the meeting up at that point and adjourn it again, or should we just?
You can, I would think that you want to have a control date where the applicant comes back in and tells you
No,
what's going on with the
Otherwise, I think it's unfair to the public not to keep on coming back with nothing. So at some point, my suggestion would be we just close the public hearing for now and then republish it when it's gonna happen again. I'm not saying this time, but if we do it once more time, I'd like to go that way.
Okay. You're at a disadvantage because the applicant's in here. I don't know if
Yeah.
they've already started preparing this traffic study that I think they anticipated it would be required of them. So it's possible, perhaps, that they've already submitted it in. So I just don't know.
I would set a date for November,
Okay.
and if they can't comply with that or not ready for it, at that point, then we go and close it and then reopen it on a later date to be determined.
Does that make
What
sense?
would the date be, Ashley?
Yeah, you could, I think, set it now for November 21st, and you could figure out, depending on the status, what you want to do at that point.
Perfect.
So it would be a motion to adjourn the public hearing until November 1st, 2024, and set 21st, sorry, at 7:30 PM or soon thereafter.
Okay. Could I have said motion?
I'll make it.
Phil, second by?
I'll second.
Diana, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Against? Okay. So they'll be notified
Yeah.
of the new date,
Yep, I will let them know.
and thank you for joining us. Next item on the agenda is SR 94 LLC Solar Project, Lightstar Renewable, 20-1-21.12. It's an application for a site plan and special permit for a solar energy system on 60.7 plus or minus acres along Randall Street, New York State Route 94, in the CO zone, AQ3 floodplain and ponding area overlays. And tonight we're here to consider a Part 3 EAF.
Good evening, everyone. Have a spot?
But if you turn just a little bit more in case anyone wishes to see it from below. If anyone can't see it back there, if you want to come forward, by all means, move forward. If you wish to see the placards, and if you could just introduce yourself for the record.
Everyone, good evening, Olivia Feldman. I'm with Lightstar Renewables, representing the State Route 94 solar project. So, this is a community solar project, and to give a quick refresher, it's a community solar project near some auto body shops along the State Route 94. It's a temporary project. It's going to be decommissioned in about 25 years. We submitted our initial application back in July of 2023. So we've had since then a lot of really good discussions about the project. We've made many modifications to the design to minimize any and all impacts to the surrounding community and the environment. At the last meeting, we received 2 additional comment letters, and we have provided responses to those comment letters, and we have updated the Part 3 EIF accordingly. So if I may, I could just discuss those changes really quickly.
Please do.
All right, so they're all good, the changes that we've made. Tree clearing overall, we've reduced. It was originally proposed at 385 trees, but we are now proposing 331. We're proposing a new robust landscaping buffer, so now we have, we're clearing 331 trees, proposing to plant 332. So planting slightly more than we are clearing. As requested at previous meeting, we are proposing 2 staggered rows of a mix of tree species. We've got
Olivia, just for clarification, you said you reduced from 385 to 331
Yes.
removal. The correspondence board, March 20th, response to the public comments, said that it was calling out 385. Was that just a typo? Or was it that time it was still 385 and then reduced after that date?
I think at that time, back in March, it was probably still 385.
Okay.
From my memory. So we've also had geotechnical work done, and the report is expected tomorrow, actually, and that's really going to help us, further develop the design, of course, before we apply for building permits to help make sure everything is above board, and we can share that information with you if you'd like. We're no longer proposing pesticide or herbicide application associated with the site at all. We've also provided an additional visual simulation, which I have here with me today. So this is up at Dorland Road. You can see down here is the design of the project, up here is the viewpoint and the direction that you would be looking towards the project if you're standing there. So you can see, I kind of have to stand below it here, but we've got this existing conditions of how the site looked back in the winter when we took a photo here with leaf off. So that's like worst case visual of the site currently in winter. And then this is the 1 year look, so that you can see that the panels are in, the trees are small, but they're all there. And then, where do you go? Up here is the 5 year look. So trees are getting a bit taller, and then once the trees have had a chance to get more fully grown at 10 years, you can barely see the site at all. So I think this is also, the view shed that we're providing here is a depiction of the worst case of all of the view shed options that we provided and photographed. So this shows that even at the worst case view, you know, the landscaping we've provided has helped to screen that immensely. So
They're all going to be coniferous, no deciduous trees?
So they are going to be a mix of trees. We've got white fir, eastern red cedar, Norway spruce, and red pine, 83 of each. So all coniferous, no deciduous, so year-round cover. And what else? We added the silt fence around the stream as requested, and we provided a revised glare report with a few tweaks as requested. So I think overall we've addressed all items that had been mentioned at previous meetings, and we're excited to move forward, and that's where I'll leave it. Thank you.
Sean?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. So I filed a report with the written report with the board. The majority of the report actually just gives you the disposition of matters that were raised previously. There were 3 items I just wanted to talk to you this evening about. One, the applicant touched on, that's the impact to aesthetic resources. They have provided the landscaping plan. The applicant summarized the 332 proposed trees. I don't recall if you had said that they were going to be 8 feet tall, so they are significant. You know, they're not very small trees. I had also suggested in connection with the aesthetic impacts that you consider the new simulation from Derwin Road this evening. And then 2 other areas that there were some that I want to follow up with you on was the noise study. The applicant provided ahead of the meeting an email to me responding to my comments. I know we typically don't do that, but I think the noise is a simple matter, and I just want to go over the board and the applicant. So, you know, SEQA requires you to consider the magnitude of impact. And a lot of times the magnitude of impact are based on the existing condition and the proposed condition and a comparison of the 2. The applicant utilized, I think they were trying to be conservative, an ambient noise level of a rural farm. They found published noise level, and that's what they proposed to. When you compare what they have in terms of noise, which isn't all that much, to rural farm,
It was a percentage higher.
it seems much higher than I think it actually would be. So my recommendation to them was to utilize a noise meter and go out there and really determine what the actual ambient noise is. You know, there's a long state highway, there's some industrial users there, so I think an actual study would benefit you in understanding what that magnitude of impact is. And the last item I had was the glare study. The applicant provides the glare study. I think it's much more refined at this point. There are some visual obstructions, as there are in our glare study, and my recommendation would be for you to consider a conservation easement of those visual obstructions, because if those are removed, then you could have glare in areas that you've never studied. And you've done that in other projects. You're familiar with that concept. So does the board have any questions for me on any of the report or anything from this evening?
Nothing else I noticed in the report as far as elevated wiring, not buried in the ground.
Yeah, that was a recommendation relative to the floodplain, and the applicant acknowledged that they would do that. So what that is the applicant is within the 500-year floodplain. They're outside the 100-year floodplain, but they are within the 500-year floodplain. So my recommendation is only a small portion of the site, is that any wiring in that portion of the site just be elevated and not buried.
And Olivia, again, just to refresh my memory, and maybe others, the replacement trees were being placed where? The 331 trees, where are we locating those?
I can show you. Just give me a moment. I can also speak to a few of those comments as well, if I may. So this is an older version, but they're proposed up along here and right up along here and in this area and down here. So the views from State Route 94 are what we're helping to screen a good amount. But there are additional beyond the ones that are shown here. Again, this is a slightly older version, so it doesn't have all of the updated ones. If I may respond to a few of those comments, as far as the obstruction areas, we can't do permanent easements because our use of the site here is temporary by nature, relatively temporary. We can outline that the areas be protected during the lifespan of the project, but ultimately it's the landowner's property. We want to be respectful of their right to it in perpetuity, of course. But we can, sign something that says that during the lifespan of the project, those areas will be protected.
Well, I mean, after the lifespan, whether it's 20 years, 25, or 30 years, the panels are removed, then the glare is no longer an issue anyway.
Right, yeah,
Just-
so,
I did reach out to Kelly, Asher was here, to ask if whatever language was there for the other ones, that we would be agreeable. It's just the term easement,
Right.
technically wouldn't be an easement, it would be a restriction. We could, there are legal mechanisms that we will work with your attorney's office to ensure that as long as the panels are there, those areas.
Exactly, I mean, that's the intention, while the panels are there,
Yeah.
the potential's there for glare.
if I may, could I speak to the noise comment as well a
Sure,
bit?
please.
We did see Hoffman's comments about that. Okay, so overall with the noise, I just wanted to highlight a few things. In this noise study that we provided, we did a very conservative placement of the noise generating equipment. We put it all as close to the road as it possibly could be, understanding that as we near construction and design to finalize, but a good amount of these we will endeavor to shift farther away. We wanted to show the most absolute worst case conservative estimate for all of your review. Also, this is going to be silent at night, of course. It's only active during the day. Transformers on telephone poles that you see and pass on the road, it's a similar noise level to those, and those are often near houses. I know it's kind of anecdotal. But there are also some businesses nearby. It's kind of, we've got some auto body shops up to the north here, and they have some loud equipment, some impact drills and whatnot that can generate quite a lot of noise. Also, the noise analysis considered no obstruction, so it considered no topography or buildings or vegetation in the analysis. So again, very conservative. And
As far as, not just the equipment on those lots, but also the traffic on 94.
right,
Those all impact your background ambient noise levels that you're comparing against.
right.
Mr. Chairman, I agree with everything I've been saying. It's just what they provided you. I don't think that makes a clear record relative to seeker, right? And they have the road traffic noise, they have industrial users, and none of that gets worked in. It's just the comparison that they take the World Farm. It looks like they have a bigger impact than I think they actually
Than they actually will.
So if they were to put a noise meter out there, then you would know exactly what it is, and I'm sure it would not have any impact, differential impact.
Yeah, thank you. Can I speak to that as well? I just wanted to note that the rural farm was selected as a comparative measure to, again, be conservative, because
It's conservative, but you make your impact sound larger than it is. That's the concern that our engineer is raising. That your impact off-site will most likely be the differential between what's there existing and what you're gonna add to it. That percentage increase is gonna be less.
right.
But the study is basically saying it's a greater impact. That's what we're looking at, is a greater impact, even though it was derived by being very conservative.
Oh goodness. Okay. Well, if I could continue to speak to a few of the other points, I hear what you're saying there. The sound of the project associated with the project will not increase beyond a slight elevation, about 2 decibels. So The equipment pads do not contain inverter equipment, which is the latter of the two items. They have a max dBA of 63 at 1 meter away. The eastern equipment pad produces about 39 dBA. Western produces less than 33. The maximum dBA at any property line should be no more than 53. So that's also shown in this analysis here. If you look at the concentric circles, and you're, anyone's welcome to come up and look at those closer if you want. So yes, having an 8 dBA increase in the analysis is conservative. The DEC states that increases from 3 to 6 decibels may have the potential for adverse noise impacts. Sound pressure increases of more than 6 decibels, so in this case what we're showing potentially may require a closer analysis of impact potential depending on existing sound pressure levels and the character of the surrounding land use and receptor. An increase of 10 dBA, so higher than what we're doing, deserves consideration of avoidance and mitigation. So our point here was that since we fall between 6 and 10 dBA, avoidance and mitigation wouldn't be necessary, additional studies wouldn't be necessary, and again, surrounding land use is auto bodies to the north, current land use is agricultural and kind of vacant. There are louder sources of noise in the area than the solar equipment will be. So understood that we have to accurately quantify existing ambient noise levels, but we believe that while the approach we've gone with is conservative, it's not wildly conservative, and it does just help to show that the impact we're having to the community is minimal. And even if you do consider what we provided, the DEC would I think agree with the instance that it would not necessitate avoidance or mitigation.
So, Mr. Chairman, the DEC's guidance document says that over 6, you need to look a little more closely at noise, and then over 10 is avoidance. Right? So this is, right now, from the applicant's number that they gave, 53 is what they proposed, and 45 is what they're saying the baseline is. So that's a +8. So what I'm saying, I agree with everything the applicant's saying, but they just haven't given you the information that would support a negative declaration, if that's the way that this is going to go.
I would add, I don't disagree with what Sean is saying, but I do think it is in the board's purview as part of seeker. You don't necessarily have to study if you know. I don't want to sound like Bill Maher used to what. I don't know if I could prove it, but I know that it's true. You could take acknowledgement of the fact that you all live here, you all know there's auto body shares, you know these won't be operating at night. The board can make that finding under seeker. While if it was a rural farm, it would be 45, but the likelihood is it's not. And you know, we could do the exercise of going out there and spending money and taking measurements, but everybody in this room, I believe, knows it's going to be greater than 45. It's probably going to be greater than 53 during the daytime hours in those locations. So it's an exercise to prove what we already know, and you could take, you know, acknowledgement that the board, based upon its personal knowledge, knows that this area is not a rural farm. It is more aggressive and therefore is closer, if not above 53. And I don't think any court in the land would uphold the challenge to that based upon the documentation, you know, we've provided. So you can say the study is your life in knowing what's out there and what noise of traffic is out there, that it's more than being out on you know, a farm. So I would ask that the board consider that.
I think what we're asking for is not a study. Right?
All right.
We're just asking you to put a noise meter on
Okay.
the site for a couple hours during the day and tell us what the ambient noise level is. I don't think it's going to be very costly. I'm sure your engineer has that capability.
Well,
We can get that.
worth a shot.
Excuse me. It's not a public hearing.
Could I?
Unfortunately, no, I'm sorry.
All right, so then I would ask that if the board is considering, could potentially consider making a Part 3 determination subject to us confirming with the noise meter, and if the noise meter confirms something different, then we would have to amend.
If the board feels, again, there are a couple items I wanted to consider and then we'll discuss the landscaping, the rendering, I keep saying easement, I apologize for that, but the protection of the vegetation. If the board is moving towards a negative declaration, I don't think it would be a problem if we need to schedule this on your October 17th meeting, provided the applicant provides the invoice information by October 3rd.
Don't back up.
So you can authorize a motion to, approve a motion to authorize a
authorize preparation of the neg deck.
declaration subject to receipt of this additional information.
That's all I was thinking. Jeremy?
Do we need to resolve that wetland buffer issue before a neg deck, or is that separate?
Well, yes, you are looking at wetlands as part of your secret review. The applicant has provided you correspondence from DEC that says that they're ready to issue a permit once you complete the secret. Keep in mind, DEC and outside agencies can issue any permits until secret is concluded.
Right, the letter was like a could rather than a would.
I
Is that good enough?
I think for seeker it is,
Okay.
and the DEC is gonna handle the permitting on that.
Okay.
Well, if they don't, it stops the whole process.
Right.
Yeah,
Doesn't matter.
that's correct.
Then I appreciate the input.
I think I'm ready, except that I'm still back to that one area where the buffer that's required is not under your control. And if there could be a restriction drawn up so the owner can't go out there and just cut those trees down, it's under their control as opposed to yours. I just would like to have that resolved at some point.
Okay, understood, yeah, I mean, we could have that as a condition of approval, the doing something to protect those for like the project.
Right, and that's also, thank you.
I got a quick question. You mentioned that you're gonna be using any herbicides, right? So what are you gonna do to control the vegetation from blocking,
Periodic mowing,
mowing, or just weed whacking?
yeah, standard.
No sheep, no sheep.
No sheep on this one, I have some other, another
Thank
site,
you.
but, yeah.
Morning.
I'm good with authorizing the preparation of the negative deck in lieu of getting the sound meter tested.
Diane?
I agree with Marty.
Okay. Well, if that's the case, then could I have a motion then to authorize council to prepare a neg deck on this application?
It's your turn, Bill.
I'll make the
Jeremy? Second by
I'll second it.
Neil, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Against?
Thank you very much.
And there's one
Yeah.
more item, so
Sure.
the applicant had agreed, I'm sorry, the time to make the decision is extended through October 3rd currently. So we'd ask the applicant if they would agree to extend the time to make a decision through November 21st. Because I do believe you need some variances as well that you'll have
Well,
to
I
get.
don't think we need this board to grant certain waivers. I didn't get a chance to call, but I don't think there's any ZBA variance. There are waivers that are envisioned in the actual solar law that would be granted by the,
If you satisfy the standard.
if we satisfy the standards, so.
So we need an extension until the 17th at least, right?
But we'll give the extension to the 21st if we make it sooner.
Thank you.
I have a question, so for the receipt of the decibel level reading, that's 2 weeks before the next meeting, which is on October 3rd? So,
Yes.
just 2 weeks before October 3rd?
Should we just coordinate with the engineer's office as to the location?
Into by October 3rd.
I'm sorry, I misunderstood. You're
If you-
gonna have it on your meeting on October 17th?
So it's gonna be into you by October 3rd.
So I need it by October
Right.
3rd for the.
But she was saying 2 weeks prior to October 3rd.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Which
I
is
thought
today.
6 weeks prior, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you all.
And we'll get the engineer to propose the locations and just give me that by,
Just run it by Sean.
okay.
Make sure we're in concurrence.
Oh, if I could I make one more comment, or is that,
No, you can make a comment.
so,
But you did get them to do an index.
He wants to make any comments.
okay, I won't.
No.
I was like, oh no, I don't want to.
It's like taking points off the board.
All right, forget it. We can always email. All right, thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Have a good night.
Actually, when was the reception?
November 21st.
It's fine.
Next item on the agenda is Solar Liberty Energy Systems. 18-1-1.3, application for a subdivision site plan special permit for a solar energy system on 58.9 plus or minus acres along Milburn Road, Moonlight Trail, Storms Road and RU Zone, AQ3 Street Corridor, and water supply, watershed, scenic road corridor overlays. And again, we're here to consider Part 3 EAF that was prepared on behalf of this project. Welcome.
Good evening. Name's Dan Kraskowski, K-R-Z-Y-K-O-W-S-K-I. It's a long one.
One more time, I'm sorry.
K-R-Z-Y
Y,
K-O-W
K-O-W,
S-K-I.
got it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Here on behalf of the applicant. I was here before a couple months ago, happy to be back again with our supplemental submission. I would just note tonight, we're not looking for action on our Part 3, which we submitted. We would like feedback from this board, comments. We received Engineer Hoffman's comments last Friday, which we need to submit our responses to, and we would like to do an omnibus submission to everyone. So we just really are looking for feedback, and I'll run through our most recent supplemental submission, which we sent to you all mid-August of last month. So we had some revised site plans after talking with Orange and Rockland Utilities. They requested that we move our utility poles to be perpendicular to their utility poles, standard practice for them. So you'll see that reflected on our sheets in this area here. We also submitted our SWIP. I know Engineer Hoffman requested full copies of the SWIP. I believe we provided an electronic link, but are happy to provide the full printouts for you all, depending on how many copies you all would like. We can coordinate that after the meeting. Happy to talk through the SWIP to the extent you have questions, or once you look through the full SWIP, we could get into a more detailed discussion of it. And then the largest part of our submission was our tree survey and mitigation plan, which I can briefly run through for you all. This was requested last time we were here, and so we were able to go out into the field and survey, and found that we would be proposing to remove 342 trees over 6 inches in diameter. And then we are proposing 3 distinct planting areas for replacement, which I can show you here. During the course of our survey, we found that 34% of those trees were invasive and non-native species. And so we're replacing that with a 1-for-1 native to native replacement, and then for every 10 invasive or non-native species, we plant a native species. And so this details our 3 areas for planting. As you can see, we have area 1 here, area 3, which is our largest grove of planting, and area 2. And what this is able to do is utilize our continuous green buffer along the road and then connect with plantings in these 2 areas to strategically shield there. And then here we just are able to have, due to the topography, it's very steep in this area for those familiar, and so we're able to have a grove of plantings here. Area 1 and area 2 we're proposing 6-foot tall, I believe it's eastern cedars, so that will provide more cover, and then this is a mix of native species, including eastern cedar and a few other species for planting. Finally, I'd note that in the next few weeks, we will be submitting our application for subdivision, which will require a variance. And if you saw on our site plan, the variance we will be requesting, which we're still finalizing, would be from an internal lot line, because we would have our road running through, and that would be our proposed subdivision. And the reason we would be requesting a variance there is to keep all of our setbacks along property lines as large as possible. So those applications are forthcoming, but we'd love your comments on our submissions, and as noted, we'll be responding to Engineer Hoffman as well.
Thank you. Dan, Sean.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. So as the applicant said, I did file with this board a written report. I don't know if there's any questions that the board has on that. The only thing that I would really add is the applicant had made a submission back in March, I believe, or maybe even earlier, and some of the materials that the applicant was referencing in their expanded part 3 weren't provided. Now, with this submission, which would require you to go back, which I'm sure you could do, but it may be easier in the future. Particularly if the board wasn't aware, I think the most important one in there was the visual study. So you might have been looking for it, couldn't find it because the applicant submitted it some months ago. So I think that is very important that you look at. They provide some renderings and some photographs. I don't know if you're prepared this evening to maybe go through those, but I just want to make sure that the board has all of the vantage points that they want to have considered in case any new ones are required. And the reason being is, excuse me, this is the time of year to start planning that because we're going to be losing leaves pretty soon. And
Could you just talk to that a little bit? Are the trees that you're planting along the road, are they gonna be blocking the vision of the side of the,
Yeah, that's the intention. As you can see, the house here, and all along there. And this doesn't do the best job depicting it, and then next time you'd have to bring those blown up visual sims. There is a green buffer here, which we will not be touching, besides the access. So these do connect
Is
to
that
that buffer.
a year-round green buffer?
I believe so, yeah.
so at what year are you not going to be able to see the array?
I'm not sure off the top of my head, but could provide that in the next submission.
I always, and it's not just you, I think the other ones, I always hate the idea that the residents have to sit around and wait for 10 years before they're not gonna see
For the
it.
growth.
That bothers me, why the rest of the community should have to wait 10 years for something new.
so just one thing, I apologize. The applicant did in the spring go out and identify the limits of the proposed array. I believe that that's still in the field.
The stake, yeah.
Yeah, so the board wants to go out and take a second look. The stakes are still out there.
Good, thank you. Did you do any planning at the bottom of the one road there? The other road right there?
Here, no, we're not gonna touch the trees depicted here,
Okay,
so.
so that's already screened.
Yeah. And as some of you may know, the topography of the site also slopes down. And we're using a fixed tilt array that will be facing away into the ravine.
And it was the lower right-hand corner of the property where the scenic corridor is. We have panels in that area. What kind of buffer are we leaving between the property line and the panels?
Back in here,
Um,
go back to the site plan.
Off of Milburn to the scenic
Milburn.
corridor.
Yeah. I don't know the exact footage off the top, but we can provide that.
Other comments from the board?
And now I'm losing track of which submission it was in, but my recollection is that there's yellow glare from this project that is sort of at a level that is higher than many of the projects that we see.
Yeah, there was some issues with the clip.
Is the level of glare that is in the reports mitigated beyond what's in the reports? Or is that what people should expect based on this?
I think that's the current expectation. With our most recent revised planting plan, some of those glare concerns along Milburn, this is conjecture, but would be mitigated. And
After
that's
how many
something we
years?
can, as stated, that's something we can definitely run down.
Okay, I haven't been on this board for the longest time, but the duration of yellow glare for this project seems higher than what we're used to.
In fact, I don't think you've approved anything that has yellow
That would be longer.
glare. Yeah.
So there's a lot of yellow glare that needs to be addressed. That's all.
Yeah.
I just have a few comments later on the, yeah. You want to do it
Good
now?
time now?
Okay, good. You have in here on the impacts to land, that depth of water is on average 2 feet. And then you're going to be making some roadways and all that. Are you going down to water or not?
I think that might be helpful about the actual site plan. With our arrays, no. The road is, we're proposing, and this will come forth more as we tease it out with our subdivision application. We want that to be pervious due to those concerns. The depth of that, I do not believe I mean, it will be near water level because you're going through this is a wetland depicted here.
Yep.
And so this crossing, we're working and we'll get a correspondence from United States Army Corps of Engineer regarding that. So that we'll either get a letter of, it's like a letter of permission or a 404 permit, and we'll comply with that crossing. But that would be, in terms of concern for water, I would say that area of the site is our highest concern.
Maybe you have something in there about a culvert, you're gonna use a 20-inch culvert or something like that?
That's currently proposed for that crossing, yes.
I have no idea what that stream looks like or whatever, but in many cases we use open box culverts. Is it necessary there, or is there any value to that? And I don't know the answer.
The answer is yes, and you often require that. The issue, I think, with this application of wetlands, and having maybe able to speak to this, is there's a small area, what would be on the bottom right, it's DEC regulated wetlands.
Mm-hmm.
And then this currently is Army Corps. I think the board's aware that DEC is changing their wetland laws. So it is possible that if DEC isn't taking those wetlands now, the Army Corps wetlands, they may get under DEC jurisdiction very soon. So at that point, yes.
They were changing the buffers also on that, I believe.
They were changing the
The
minimum
100-foot buffer was
size of
changing.
wetlands, right? So right now it's 12.4
It's
acres.
dropping down.
It's going to go, I think, to 7.4. But I think more importantly for the applicant is that there may be a hydraulic connection to the DEC wetlands, and that DEC may decide to move their boundary further into this property.
Yeah, to those concerns, we would obviously comply with whatever relevant permitting regime is in play when we go to pull a building permit. And there are, just on that side, but there are other proposals for buffers, to your point, depending on wetland characteristics. There's nutrient poor wetlands and still under comment, but that was a proposal.
When was that supposed to kick in? Beginning of this coming year?
Yeah, but you're right, they're still
Yeah.
accepting comments, so I don't know if any comments that they received are
Yeah.
going to cause them to push that out.
The comments ended today, and
Tuesday,
then
okay.
parts, it's a phased change with parts like the drop to 7.4, I think is 2030, but some are slated to go January 1 of next year.
Next year.
But it's still, it's gotten a lot of feedback from a lot of people, so
Work
it's
in
kind of
progress.
unknown, yep.
So back to my question about the culvert, it's still, like, at least hear a discussion as to why you're gonna go with a round culvert as opposed to an open box.
I have to speak with our engineers about that selection, but definitely noted.
Thank you. Just, when it impacts to water, you have a notification for the SWIP going to the DEC, I believe that's the town. Right, Sean?
Yes.
Good. Then you have that you may need permits. Just if you want to identify what permits you're gonna need, I think it's probably gonna be possibly Army Corps and the DEC, but if you just identify that.
Just list it out, yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Let's see what else. I think that's good for that. So under the SWIP, you're gonna go less than 5 acres at a time?
Yeah, and that's the current proposal.
Okay. And then the other thing I didn't see anywhere, and maybe it's just, I missed it. One of the big concerns that we've had, or one of the big problems I've had in the past with solar, is there's no staging area and ability for tractor trailers to turn around on your property, as opposed to having to do it out on the road or something else. So I just would like to see that identified somewhere.
We do have a proposed staging area here right off of Milburn. I'm not sure the turning radius of that staging area.
I would like to get the trucks off there when they're unloading,
Yeah.
and be able to turn around. Thank you.
Thank you.
One question I have is the emergency vehicles. I mean, it looks like the road is wider at one point and then it goes down to 13 feet. Is that big enough to have?
Yeah, we can provide correspondence with the town, and we want to, obviously, also the key is the jackhammer turnaround, so emergency vehicles would be able to turn around.
But I think you need bump outs along the way too, every 500 feet, right?
You know, pump out.
Bump outs along the axis. I think, Frank?
Well, I think in the language of the fire code, there's exceptions for solar
Okay.
arrays, solar farms.
Is that because of the absence of traffic?
I don't know the reason for the exception, but yeah, there is language in there for exceptions, but we'll, you know,
We
when
can
you
correspond.
submit it, we'll
Yeah.
review it.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure.
Marty?
As far as the replanting of trees, you're gonna, all the invasives you're taking out, you're gonna plant one native for each of those. What's the net number of trees you're planting? Because you're taking out 342, what's the
Yeah.
net you're planting?
236 proposed.
And what's the ratio between coniferous and deciduous?
I believe they're all coniferous, but I would need to I will double check that.
That's all I have for now.
Diane?
Everybody's pretty much covered everything that I've seen. Except, are you doing herbicides or
Not as currently proposed, and as the last
as the
applicant, we'd
last
be
one,
happy
you're just
to,
gonna mow underneath?
yeah, and happy to commit to that in a conditional approval as well.
Okay. How often will you mow that area?
We could, you know, we'll create a maintenance plan that would be, we'll agree to. I mean, we're happy to work with the board on.
Because looking at some of the different solar arrays that have been going up so far, they really haven't been taken care of that much, and weeds are now going in between and all over the.
Yeah, I've seen that.
So I was just wondering how
Frequency.
often are you going to be taking care of that?
Talking about Crossroad?
Crossroad, yeah.
My favorite place. But I've seen
thought
it down on.
Following up on that, I thought there was in this, I thought maybe on impacts to animals or whatever, or wildlife, it was either this or one of the other solars, that they said they didn't want any mowing between like March and August because of the birds that were using.
That was the
for-
sandpiper.
nesting in
That was the
the-
sandpiper.
Is it this one or the other one?
Wasn't that the
It was the
one-
one
Having looked at both of them,
I think it was the one
wasn't that
that
the
did-
Okay.
Altori one?
Yeah.
Pardon?
Wasn't that the Altori one that had the?
No, it was one of these that we had tonight, I know.
Yeah, it was the first.
Yeah.
So the first one we looked at tonight, had the sandpiper issue show up on the mapper.
Yeah, okay.
Did you have anything else? Neil?
Yeah, there was, but
I turned the
it's
page.
gone. I just missed it.
Uh,
Yeah, I know, yeah. Question on,
Just in
the
time.
trees.
Yes.
Why do you think you should be able to cut down 10 trees and only plant one? I appreciate cutting down the non-natives, but why not plant 10 natives then?
I mean, we are, in our mind, just by removing invasives and non-natives, improving the site full stop without plantings, then we would do a one-for-one planting and add natives to that. I mean, as you all know, invasive and non-native species are bad for ecology, so just removing them allows natural plant communities to move in.
No, I appreciate that side of it, I just.
I mean, in all honesty, it comes down to price.
Sure,
Which I'm sure you all
it's your money, not mine.
Yeah.
And, Mr. Chairman, it also comes down to the code, and the code has a requirement, it allows you to, authorizes you to acquire up to a 1-to-1, right, so that's the
Up to.
maximum. But the code doesn't make any,
Allowances.
yeah, for invasive species, so.
You know, I mean, my biggest concern is you getting rid of the invasive species, you know, whether you're creating voids as far as visibility,
Right.
you know, that are gonna take X number of years for natural.
Yeah, and I think it may be helpful to show our clearing plan to you all, because our proposed clearings and where we're planting do differ. And so,
We can start there.
yeah, which I think helps alleviate some of that concern. So in terms of visual impact, it's roughly 4 acres of clearing as we discussed. And then where we're clearing, you can see we're down in that ravine, and then we're planting on these higher elevations where there's the visual concern. So in terms of decreasing, we're increasing screening, and the clearing down in here is not providing currently any screening
So,
to owners.
so the clearing that's along the wetlands,
Mhm.
that's where your invasive species are, you're not
I'm
pulling
not
any
entirely
invasives
sure.
along the roadway or anything like that.
Right, so I mean, there's no proposed clearing over here. I don't know number for number where exactly they are in relation to here, but. Yeah, so that's at all helpful.
It's an answer.
Is there a minimum? You said up to 1-for-1? There's no minimum in the code.
That's our problem.
I was a little bit, I think, along the bottom there, To the lower left side, that whole, I thought there's a spot there where you're cutting out a bunch of trees.
Along here?
Yeah,
There's a.
like almost right along the property line.
Yeah, right in there.
Yeah, and,
That's
and
right.
and I think there's also, is there also a stream there? No.
No, the wetland the one we discussed, the wetland's here, and then the wetland that runs through here. But in here, that's for the fence line.
Okay, because I thought just, it looked like possibly, if there's no stream, I'm not worried. But there is a stream that I'm concerned about, the erosion there.
Anything else, Neil?
No, that's it, thank you.
Okay.
You should. No, I'm not sure.
Sean, Ashley,
So,
I guess you're up.
Sure, nothing further, I think you'll wait for the next submission of the revised part 3 and take it from there.
In that case, I say thank you.
Okay. Thank you all.
Thank you.
That revised part 3 will address the issues that were raised tonight.
Yeah, along with
Hopefully,
Sean's.
along with Sean's comments.
comment, right. And out of curiosity for the SWIP, do you all want hard copies of the full SWIP? Or is electronic preferred? We're happy to.
I think speaking for the board, they probably do not.
I would like the hard copy, but I don't need all the data there.
Okay.
So I require, actually, we
Please.
need 3 hard copies
Okay.
for our board, and the rest is digital.
Great.
Thank you.
We'll submit them.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Have a good night.
You too. Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is Lunar Realty LLC, Northeast Great Dane, 20-1-33.1. It's an application for an amended site plan for a truck repair and sales facility on 11.6 plus or minus acres along New York State Route 94, Randall Street in CO Zone, AQ3 floodplain planning overlays. And we have revised plans and a Part 2 EAF tonight. Welcome.
Happy to be here. Good evening, I'm Brad Cleverly from NJS Engineering. And we've got these proposed revisions to work to the site includes a new well and some parking. That's the limits of the changes to the site.
Okay, just a refresher why we're doing that.
We are doing this because in the village of Florida, there was an action to a re-subdivision of 3 lots in the village of Florida to 2 lots, so that this lot, which includes a multifamily residence, is separate from these lots, and the owner would like to sell this lot. As part of the conditions of the Village of Florida Planning Board approval, this truck facility currently receives water from the Village of Florida Water District. They are requiring a disconnection from the water district to this building. And so in response to that, the applicant would like to install a new well, a new non-public well, here on the site.
And obviously, it's non-public because the number of employees is less than the requisite
That's
number
correct.
driving it down. Okay,
It's about 20 employees.
you're under the number. Sean,
So if it was just a well and some parking, it wouldn't be here.
right, but,
So we talked about this, I think, at your August 1st meeting. So the applicant has a approved site plan from 1998, I believe. What's there now does not jive with what was approved.
topside.
Correct. So everything that has occurred since that approval, everything beyond that approval, if you will, is part of this application. And it also includes the well and the additional parking that we have talked about. So,
Were there any standouts that we need to,
no, I provided comments on the revised plan, really just because this is a small application, I wanted to try to keep it moving. There's no reason to break apart site plan review and your seeker review. This is primarily listed for you if you had any questions on the revised plan, although there's not a lot of changes, really listed to go through the part 2.
from the board.
Has, I noticed that you noted this in your memo, Sean, but has there been a determination on the chain link fence yet?
I don't think so. So, the issue was that your code doesn't allow chain link fencing, it allows replacement of fencing. The fencing was not on the approved site plan. The applicant indicated that it's existing, right, it's an existing non-conforming condition. It's applicant's burden to demonstrate to the building inspector that it was permitted and legal when it was put in. So that's still outstanding.
Got it,
Neil?
I have nothing.
Marty?
Not at this time.
Okay, in that case, Ashley, can we go over the part two?
Sure. Never had an opportunity to review it. Were there any specific questions, or would you like me to go down the
Just the items with the arrows, if you just go through those.
Sure.
Just to why they rose to that level of being impacts. Some are very obvious, some not so much.
Sure, so the first would be under impacts on surface water, and that the proposed action may involve construction within or adjoining a freshwater or tidal wetland or in the bed or banks of any other water body. So the project does include some paving and other impervious surfaces. There are wetlands on
It's next to Browns Creek.
Yeah,
due to the proximity of Browns.
it's not, it is in proximity, it's essentially that Browns Creek runs over here, and the action's over here.
Again, just.
It's on the property line, right?
Well, yes, more or less. It isn't, it's actually within the property, over here, but it kind of meanders through it.
But again, board, I just want you to understand, the action, right, under seeker, anything that was completed prior to the 1998 agreement. So it's more than just the lot. Again, we wouldn't be here if it was just the lot. Okay.
The second was that the proposed action may affect the water quality of any water bodies within or downstream of the site of the proposed action. And water quality impacts may occur temporarily, such as during a short construction season. Next is impact on groundwater, and the first is that the proposed action may require a new water supply well. The next is the proposed action may require the bulk storage of petroleum or chemical products over groundwater or aquifer. So can you confirm, is there no bulk
No.
storage? Okay.
No.
That one doesn't have an arrow.
Okay. I think that was just a note here to ask you to
Okay.
confirm that. Then we have impacts on flooding. So for these, there were a few that were marked, the first 5 were marked moderate to large impact, and that's because construction of any structure that impedes or changes drainage patterns or water flow is planned in that floodway, and there's existing improvements, as Sean had noted, that have been done since the 1998 approval that don't have a current approval and are being considered now by this.
Now, Sean, what improvements of those, other than the proposed well, that would be in that?
Primarily, it was the expansion of the storage or slash parking area, if you will, that gravel area. Can you?
Where all the trailers are?
Yeah, you got it.
Sean, is Browns Creek, is that Quaker Creek?
Yes, yeah. I'm unsure where the name changes, so, but yeah. Those nailed the unit, you know, I don't know where it changes.
I think it flows out of Glenmere as Quaker Creek,
Yeah.
and it ends up as Quaker Creek, so.
I always call it Quaker Creek when I'm in Florida, they say it's Browns Creek, so I don't know if it's a town or village thing or what, but.
207 becomes Main Street, becomes 17A, so.
When I was in Florida, I was told it was Browns Creek.
All right.
So,
The next is under impacts on plants and animals, and the proposed action may result in a reduction or degradation of any habitat used by any rare, threatened, or endangered species as listed in the New York State or the federal government. Next is impact on historic and archaeological resources, may occur wholly or partially within or substantially contiguous to any buildings, archaeological sites, or districts listed on the National or State Register of Historic Places or determined to be eligible for that listing.
That one we got a letter for?
Would be the description.
Yes.
all of it?
yeah, I got the letter from OPR HP.
Okay, good.
Consistency with community plans, that the proposed action is inconsistent with local land use plans or zoning regulations, and that was noted as a moderate to large.
Any questions on that? Jeremy, Neil?
No.
Okay. So.
A motion to adopt the EAF Part 2?
That's where I was going with it. Could I have the motion?
I'll place the motion.
Diana, second by
I'll second.
Marty, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Against? Okay. Next step would be...
Submission on part 3, unless you want them to make a determination of significance.
I think it'd be reasonable to make a determination. There's nothing significant to me.
No, that would be the DIS.
I think
right?
we want to submit an
You want to
expanded
submit
Part
Part
3
3.
addressing the items that are in the EAF that are, particularly the ones that are marked as moderate to large, but also the ones that are small, explaining why those are small.
That would probably be...
That would be a good idea, yeah.
As opposed to DIS and scoping, yes. Okay.
And actually, don't believe you assumed lead agency status yet on this one. So if we could assume lead agency status.
We just declared our
and
intent.
then- Yes, you did, and the mailings were done on the 19th of August, so if you haven't received any objections to that, then
Could I have said motion to declare this off?
you should assume lead agency status.
That's us, yes.
I'll make the motion.
Marty, second by
I'll second.
Diana, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Against? Lead agency. Brad, that's all we can do for you tonight.
Yeah, well, here's one thing, I can ask a couple of things. What is a comment in here about a public hearing? I'd like to request a waiver from a public hearing.
I don't think we
I don't
can.
believe you're able to.
I
That's
don't think we
required
can.
for a major site plan.
Okay. Then I would like to request scheduling a public hearing for next month.
I think typically you would want that revised.
I was saying,
Part one and part three.
we'd be putting a public hearing out easily into November for, first looking for, by the part 3. I don't know if we want to set a public hearing that far out.
Do you want to split the baby perhaps, Mr. Chairman, if the applicant can get the part 3 in by such and such a date, that you would have a public hearing at such and such a date?
Okay, have a motion for such and such a date.
I think he's gonna get, I think it's the part 3 in by October 3rd, next time. You can have a meeting about it on the 17th, and then we'll be doing November, right?
It's up to you how you want to proceed. There's
I
no,
agree. That comes through my, it's not that big of a thing. It's
No.
No.
I don't anticipate significant public comment on it either.
If one person shows up, I will be.
be careful.
Take them out of there.
Very careful. Mr. Healy, if he's still here, he might.
He has friends, and neighbors. Yeah, so,
Motion to schedule a public hearing for October 17th at 7:30 PM, subject to the applicant submitting an expanded part 3 by October 3rd.
that is worded very well. Can I have that motion?
I'll place a motion.
Diana, second by.
I'll second.
Eric, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Against?
Thank you. I'd
Okay.
also like to request,
Oh, now you're pushing it, Brad.
I'm on a roll though, given the scope of the magnitude of this project. The applicant would really like to begin his water testing, and he would like to construct the well at his own risk at the location shown to move forward with the project. He doesn't want to get into a situation in November where he gets approval, let's say November, whenever. Then it's 12 inches of snow, and he can't get his water supply until March or April.
I defer that to
So I
Frank.
do believe this was previously discussed and that is not permitted and would be segmented secret review, so
We still have.
it's still not permitted.
That's a legal determination.
Just for your batting average.
Better than sometimes.
Is that it?
That's it.
Then have a great night.
Thank you very much.
Next item on the agenda is David Dworeski, 22-1-19. We have an application for site plan approval on 6.1 plus or minus acres along Pulaski Highway, County Route 6, in the AI zone, AQ3 floodplain ponding, scenic road corridor, stream corridor, and water supply watershed overlays. We're here this evening for an initial presentation to begin the secret process. Welcome.
Good evening. My name is Marcello Sirigliano. I'm the attorney for David Dworeski.
How do you spell your last name, sir?
CIRIGLIANO.
Very good, thank you.
Welcome. So, what Mr. Dworeski is requesting is his property is at 1049 Pulaski Highway. I believe the board has received the site plan, proposed site plan, as well as the surveys regarding this property. What he's looking to do is grade, clear a small portion of the property, about 0.50 acres. Actually, no, let's see, about 3.396 acres. That property has been, it's on Pulaski Highway, and it's been traditionally used as a dumping area for people's refuse, for furniture, for mattresses over the years, and he has, since he's purchased the property, had to constantly remove things. So his plan is to clear it. He is in a landscaping business himself, and put a 6 inches of shot rock and 4-inch layer of item 4 crushed stone.
Now, what exactly is shot rock?
Shot rock is a larger size rocks for irrigation purposes. Obviously, I think Sean would know better than me.
It's not.
To be honest with you, I've seen people call shot rock many different things, so.
I mean, it's not construction debris that's been crushed.
Oh, no, this is rock.
Okay.
It's like a shell, you know, when they blow a shell.
Okay.
Like riprap?
Yeah.
Okay.
And his whole plan is just to keep this an open area. He's trying to clean it up. The coverage right now is would be weeds right now. We just want to clean it up so that when cars pulling off on the side of the road in that area, it won't get stuck. And it will hopefully deter people from just dumping on that road. He's not looking to do any development on that property. The property is smaller. The area that the clearing is 17,245 square feet. And yeah, he's just looking this to be determined to be a minor project.
Frank, was this lot cited for any reason?
It was a code enforcement
It
action due to the overlays, and it's in Sean's memo, touches on a few of the overlays. It's triggering this to come to the planning board.
Okay.
A lot of it is completed already.
Yes.
Marcello, is there more grading to?
No,
it's-
he doesn't want to do, he did this without approval originally, thinking that he was just trying to clean up the area. And then we've been working with Frank's ever since.
But it does use it to park trucks right now, right? Because I see them there every day.
I don't know how many trucks he's parking on
On
there.
the right side, who's parking trucks on there?
Coming north on the left side.
No, yes,
Oh,
that's
okay,
the
I haven't
area.
seen anything in there. That's right next to the McKnight ditch. That was Carolyn Madura's property, and she used to have many years ago, a farm stand there and a trailer. And I guess when she passed away, people felt that they just wanted to get rid of whatever garbage they could. But if he's gonna do that, he's gonna have to do a little bit more than just clean it, because people are still gonna think that nobody owns it or nobody cares.
Post it.
I was thinking, why would you just put a fence up to stop people from dumping?
I think he needs to do something more.
I'm concerned that you're making a great parking lot.
Yeah. I would put a fence up and stop them from
No, I
going in.
agree. I think if nothing else happens, but especially since you're putting all this rock down there, you're gonna make it a parking lot, whether your client uses it or not. I think everybody else is gonna use it.
Yeah, he's gotta make it look like he owns it, like somebody's there now.
But does
But
it,
he's trying, the scene, I believe, I'm sorry for talking about it, but the scenic corridor, the idea is not to make it developed in any way, so that's why he was making it.
Yeah, but that's not really developing, it's just making it realize that somebody owns it, and that it's not a dumping
Like
ground.
split rail or something, maybe?
Yeah, maybe something, or even posted
It's natural.
signs that says, do not enter private property, or, you know, something nice, something in that area.
Oh, yeah.
Well, his business is directly across the street there, and so, I don't, he just left you to raise home.
Yeah, if I could just chime in, he does have vehicles like that are for sale from time to time there. I think it should be discussed, like if the intent is for him to park vehicles there, it should be addressed.
because if he needs it.
If he needs it.
If he needs parking,
Yeah.
he should be able to use his property for parking, right? So
So I know personally, I drive up and down the road there pretty much every day, and he does have, not often, but there are things that he's trying to sell. So if that's the intent, then let's hammer it out.
And when I meant like, that he wasn't looking to put a structure up on that in the
Yeah.
area, but if he's parking on it, that's.
I think if he's parking on it, let's make the application to include that. And
Yeah,
so then he has no issues,
We
right?
should restrict the coverage.
it'll make the building department's job a little easier, so we know what we have.
Plus, he won't have to worry about parking.
A 9/11 is a good thing. Like I saw, he had fire trucks there, and it was like a little memorial for 9/11, which was fantastic. But I think the board should know what the intent is up front.
Yeah, I agree with the building inspector. If the intent is to park vehicles on there, and that wasn't mentioned in the application at all, as far as I saw, that we should actually apply for it, so we have approval and the record clear on that. Just one real quick item, Mr. Chairman, just why is this before you? It's exactly what Frank said, that this is driven because there's a 5,000 square foot threshold, if you're doing any road corridor overlay, and a, I believe, 10,000 foot threshold within the stream corridor.
People don't realize he owns it, that's the problem.
So he's trying to fix a compliance issue, right?
Yeah.
So he fixes the compliance
Some
issue
kind of sign
at the
that
same
says
time.
private property or
He has the
something.
ability to use it for parking, right? I mean, it's not a problem if he uses it for parking.
I don't think it is, I just have to
Regardless,
double check it,
it's
so
next door to
not
it.
thinking off the top of my head.
Because his property, he should be able to use it.
so, I guess a kind of question. If we're gonna have this go and possibility of going to a parking lot, probably needs to go to the county DPW. I think it's their road, so we'd have to do a lead agency.
So I don't know if making it a parking lot, if that would change in terms of would there be any more improvements? Would you be improving the parking lot?
No, it just,
No, but I
So
think,
it would increase any disturbance?
no, but I think you have to have an access from,
Oh, it doesn't have access currently,
Right.
okay, then yes. it
Permitted
would.
access.
permitted, right, access,
As
right.
opposed to
right.
That's if he wants, that's if he wants to make it
Right.
park.
Yeah.
He could decide not to make it park.
Well, then, if you wanted to do that, then the gravel can't extend all the way out to the pavement.
Right.
Yes, there would need to be a break, but, I mean, I presume that he wants to be able to get in there, he wants the driveway access. And I think I said in my comments that he would need a permit from Orange County Department of Public Works. Unless he has one already, I don't know.
I don't know, I don't think he does, but there was always an area that was,
What typically happens is that this board would have to refer, and in my experience, the county usually requests an upgrade or correction. If you have full access, along full frontage, they usually ask that you narrow that down.
Restrict it.
Because they don't want that, because it poses potential problems for vehicles in terms of safety. So I think the county's gonna ask for some improvements.
If not, when we send that to notice of lead agency, they'll say they don't want to do anything.
Yeah, they are getting better with that, yeah, they will give you some initial comments.
Or they're
Yeah.
indoors, whatever.
So if he decides he doesn't want to use it for parking, then the ground it has to be a break point between the road and the property.
Yeah, I don't know why you use gravel then.
It's, yeah.
Yeah.
So
So I think
Next
you
step.
need, an EAF
It's gotta clear
from the applicant.
what he's gonna do.
I think you need a EAF for starters, and I think you need, provides information from the applicant whether they want to have this utilized for parking, And parking is different than storage. Right, so parking is, you know, temporary, storage would be more permanent. So
Does the application have to be modified then accordingly?
No.
Because that's just saying grading right now.
Correct. I don't think so. I think even if the applicant was here, he could just advise you as to what he plans to do with the area.
Yeah, they could explain that in the EAF. And
So you need the EAF to explain exactly what he wants to do with it.
so
It may benefit him,
board-
you know, it may
Yeah.
benefit him.
No, I agree.
You may want to do something with it. Oh, I didn't know I could park trucks there. Maybe I want to park some trucks there.
This evening, if the board would like to declare your intent to be lead agency, classify the action preliminarily as a unlisted action under seeker, and circulate for lead agency upon receipt of an EAF from the applicant.
Could I have said motion to declare this board's intent to be lead agency and to declare this project to be an unlisted action?
I'll place the motion.
Diana, second by?
I'll second.
Marty, all in favor, say aye. Against?
I tried.
That would just be a short form. Yeah.
If it's a minor project,
We don't get a long form for this, right?
you think it's a major? Yeah, so it would be a major, requiring a long form, and the reason for that is that the applicant proposes to make improvement of more than 10,000 square feet. And the code actually says even without structures.
Okay, you'll be at 17,000 square feet.
So we can circulate for lead agency once the revised EAF is submitted, or the EAF is submitted.
That's if he's going to actively use the land, right? So if he's going to actively use it as a parking area, then it would be a major.
No, no, the language of the code was, said that this may be considered a major project if the applicant proposes to actively use the land even without structures. So if you're going to have parking that's an active use, right, and it looks like you're going in that direction, then it would be considered a major project because it's in excess of 10,000 square feet.
I know, that's what I just wanted, I need to confirm with him that he definitely.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry.
But if he does not want the parking?
If he doesn't want the park, he just wants to clear it up.
I don't know why it's gravel.
But he's gonna
We're
have
all
to do
getting nervous
something
because of gravel.
otherwise.
There's got to be something to prevent
So he
parking.
has
Yes,
to make
yeah.
it look like he's doing something with it.
Then it would say clean it up with fence.
Yeah.
Do you have any other questions or concerns from?
I don't, well, no, sure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Very nice. Next item on the agenda, 69 Celery Avenue, SM Sales, 19-1-87. Application for a site plan special permit for light manufacturing on 7.62 plus or minus acres along Celery Avenue in the AI's district, AQ3 floodplain and ponding area overlay districts. We have revised plans on Part 2 EAF. We're here tonight for an initial presentation and to begin the seeker process. Welcome.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Brian Newman. I'm here, attorney with Booston, Shapiro, Frank and Barone, and I'm here on behalf of the applicant. So this is a property at 6971 Celery Avenue that was approved by this board back in 2018 for a 6,000 square foot building to be used for a warehouse. What the applicant is seeking to do is basically take 1,000 square feet of that building and have that being used for a light manufacturing use to basically, bend, create things such as steel studs, joists, and other, like with the coiling machine. There's not going to be any external construction or any new expansions of the structure, any new structures being built. There may be minor alterations of the interior structure to accommodate the light manufacturing use. But what they're really just looking for is to amend their permission from this board to amend the special permit to allow for the light manufacturing use for the fraction of their building. I'm in receipt of some comments from the engineer based on the initial submission by my client, and I've advised my client that some of these notes by the engineer will need to be addressed by engineering, such as his comments related to traffic in the light. But what we're looking for today is a decision from the board to declare this a minor project because it doesn't exceed any of the thresholds in 9770 D1. And we're also looking, and we would like this board to declare this a type 2, because we do think there are 2 criteria in that relevant section that this product may fall under, as opposed to being unlisted.
Now, you said you wanted it to be a minor project, and in Sean's comments, he's saying it should be a major project because you're modifying and altering at least 1,000 square feet.
Well, so the threshold is 1,000 square feet, and it's if you and 9770 D2, if it exceeds 1,000 feet, then it becomes a major project. If it's 1,000 feet or less, it's still a minor project. But my understanding is the actual internal alterations, to the extent there are any, will be less than 1,000 square feet of the actual building will be physically altered.
Are we partitioning off 1,000 square feet? Is that what the plan is, or?
Love being young again.
Just your name for the record.
Yeah, my name is Thomas Bahuki. I'm a realtor with Keller Williams Realty. I represent the owner of the building and I'm trying to get a lease for the building. We had a applicant came in and he does metal forming. He has a machine that's 5 feet wide by 40 foot long, and another machine that's 6 by 6 by 6. When I suggested that they go in front of the board to go into light manufacturing because it's not really warehousing, and I don't want Doris Pialis coming down here ripping everybody apart as a neighbor. So I says, go in front of the board. We said, okay, how much space inside there is that machine gonna take? They said, the machine is 5 by 40, figure double that, 10 wide, give them the benefit of the doubt. That's how we came up with 1,000 square feet for using the machine. People walking, didn't want to, screw anybody over. We want to be as honest as possible what we could. So we have probably 1,000 square foot less than 1,000 square foot.
Tom, would that include storage of the coils, the storage of the finished product and all that stuff?
They own the manufacture what it is, like a 3D machine, like a 3D printer.
On demand?
Yep, and what they do, they bring in a roll of flat steel, put it on that 6 by 6 machine, they plug into the computer how it is, and they run it through, and then it extrudes it to the manufacturing spec. They only manufacture to an order. There is no stockpiling, there's no nothing else. The only thing they will keep on site inside are the few coils of metal that they use. Each coil, each metal, alloy, thickness, and everything else is specific to the job that they do. So they can't warehouse a whole lot because they might not use it for years. So that's how it's all on demand.
And these 2 machines.
Yep.
What kind of noise levels do they put out?
She said it's quite quiet. Everything's going to be inside. That is an insulated building. Originally, that was Sussex sod. Before that was Eddie April had it for an onion storage. And I hate being old. And so then Sussex sod bought it. They lost control of their land. Minkus Family Farms bought it. They insulated it, put in beautiful ceilings, walls, everything else. And so it's no pounding, there's no chopping, it's a metal extruding.
There's no grinding sound?
No, there's no chemicals, there's nothing outside, the building isn't moved, the parking lot is where it is, all the stuff that they did back in 2018, it's all the same.
Any requirements for fire protection or anything like that
No,
with the machine?
no, nothing other than what there is right now. Yes,
No, I'm okay.
yeah, that's it. Tractor trailer, that is, we had talked about maybe with it being near a county road, it's 0.56 miles in. I went on the Orange County website, we have actually 3,000 feet off of County Route 37. And that's the, if anybody's familiar with Celery Avenue, Neil is, you go down the straightaway and one turn is right there on the left-hand side. There are basically two property owners that are within 500 feet with them on the Agdad estate.
Sean?
Yeah, so the reason we're discussing major minor is that I think the applicant wants to get approval quickly, and they don't want a public hearing. Is that right? Otherwise, there's no difference between major and minor. So you're asking the board to make a determination of a minor, and then you're asking the board not to have a public hearing because they have the.
It's not a major
either
project,
minor.
it's not, you know, we're not changing the.
I'm not saying that you are, but the issue is, and the reason I'm taking this approach is I don't really know if it's really an issue for you, because if you were this evening to authorize a resolution for your next meeting, you could just authorize a public hearing and then authorize a resolution, and there's no time savings whatsoever. So whether it is required would have to be a determination of Frank. The code, paraphrasing, actually the real code is right here in language, talks about the alteration of existing structures by 1,000 feet. I agree with the applicant that the code does not say interior alteration or exterior alteration. So that, as you know, is a zoning code determination, would go to front determination. But what I'm trying to say is, I don't even know if we need to do that, because if it's so unobjectionable, all it is just a public hearing, and we could take action and say that was a public hearing.
Do they have to degrease the metal?
No, it comes in, goes on the machine and on spins and off with it. No chemicals whatsoever. Actually, I had a gentleman from Chester who did plating and their place partially burnt down. I'm like, forget it. Plating, chemicals, Waukegan River, ain't gonna happen. Just don't waste your time. Go away.
There's no lubricants or anything?
No,
in the machine?
nothing, no.
And there is an existing restroom, right?
Yep, they do, yep.
Is there any sort of, documentation about them? We're talking about this machine,
I can have my client obtain from the prospective operator, like the specs for the machines.
Yeah, he told me it's 5x40, and then they have the 6x6 where they put the coil on.
Yeah, I mean, just respectfully, like, if this is all about the machine, like, if they have printed materials about
Sure,
what this machine
yep.
is all about, I think that.
So we get your brochure or
Yeah,
something.
you can
Yeah.
obtain the specs for the proposed machines and have them given to the board. Sure.
I'm sure they have a glossy.
Yeah, and what I would like to see on those specs is just the decibel level of the
Yeah.
machine, so it's not too
No
loud.
problem. I asked him if you want to take a picture, he said, well, I don't have to. I should have got a brochure.
I would assume as it extrudes, right, there's gonna be a section where it cuts it too, right? So there would be some-
I imagine they will, yeah. They'll have to, they're not gonna make a 40-foot, 40-foot done.
What's the grade level on the floor compared to the floodplain?
The floor is where it always was.
I know. I assume you aren't changing that. My question is really coming to the equipment, whether it has to be raised off the floor or not. And I don't know how that would impact anything.
Oh, they did, I don't know, they did major surgery when they went through a warehouse, you have all of that stuff.
The warehouse, a lot of stuff's on racks. It's all, in the warehouse, it's all racking systems.
I'm looking on Google Street View, and it looks to be perfectly level with the grade.
Yeah, it's up a little bit off the road. I would say your overhead doors and your floor coming down, you're about a foot off the road, higher, coming in, not a whole lot.
Pretty sure it's in the floodplain, if you're, that's what you're asking.
I'm just wondering, for in the future, that the equipment there may have to be raised to the floor.
Well, I'll tell you what, I read in the lead, which was a catastrophic biblical event, and that never flooded there. That, yeah, that road was never underwater. Neil, you know, I was underwater.
I was gonna say, that road was underwater in spots, maybe not right
Yeah,
there.
but not down, we parked up here, we were able to get everybody down, past Wazowski, so that never flooded there.
Wasn't something done with the lake, the whatever that is, behind Bialas's house? Wasn't that water tiered so that it?
Yeah, I was talking with Priscilla tonight. I used to be a county legislator.
I know.
My goal was to get that river to run free.
But I thought they did something with it after that point. It looks
Somebody,
different.
Priscilla told me that they were removing the rocks from the falls there.
That was the intention at some point, yes.
Yeah, I think they did something.
I'm like, why would they do that?
Area not too long ago, and it looked different.
That,
It was another miracle, it was gonna solve everything.
that was a natural dam for irrigation and everything else. That never impeded water. Canning Road, the S curves in that river is what stops that river from flowing. Anyway, that's my former life. Next question. We'll get you glossy brochure.
I think it's up to the applicant, if they really want the minor determination, excuse me, I think it has to go to the building inspector. Otherwise, I think if the board wants, you could schedule a public hearing and also authorize council to draft the resolution.
Your call.
I mean, I can ask my client to see if that's the route they want to go, and
The idea is if we have to take action this evening to set a public hearing and such, that would have to happen now, otherwise you're losing time just waiting for the next meeting again, that you'd be on the agenda.
Take a public
And you
hearing.
may be losing time anyway, depending on the determination, so.
We'll not take the public hearing.
we'll take the public hearing then.
Good choice.
Okay, so, Mr. Chairman, we'll set this for the 17th.
Just one, well, regarding the date for the public hearing, my client's Orthodox Jewish, and the 17th is in the middle of Sukkot.
Okay.
And so he, I asked him if he's comfortable with us performing work on his behalf during those holidays, and he said he'd prefer to wait till after that holiday passed. So I think it would be the first Thursday in November would be better.
Okay. That was 7th, right?
Hurry up and wait.
7, yes.
Okay. Could I have a motion to set the public hearing for this application for November 7th, 2024?
Yeah, so, public motion.
Neil, second by.
I'll second.
Eric, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Against?
Didn't mean to steal it from you.
And actually, we could authorize,
A motion to classify as type 2 under seeker?
okay. Could I have said motion?
I'll make the motion.
Okay, Marty, second by.
That's second.
Diana, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Against?
And then a motion to authorize,
Appropriation of resolution of conditional approval. Could I have said motion?
I'll place motion.
Diana, second by.
I'll second.
I heard two.
Okay, take that then.
Okay. Marty, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All against? Okay.
Brian, if you speak to your client and they want the interpretation for whatever reason, then just submit a letter.
Will do.
And we would, cancel public hearing.
Okay.
I forgot how much fun this used to be.
Was that?
I forgot how much fun this used to be.
Hey, Thursday nights, nothing to do, come on out.
Oh, yeah. Let's see.
We'll be here.
Bourbon, planning board meeting.
How about planning board meeting with,
I'll bring it. I prefer to get
Obviously
my feet
traffic.
wet and not cruise myself.
have a good night.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Take care.
Okay, Sean,
So I
October
think-
3rd.
Yeah, so October 3rd, the only item that you have is going to be Javelin. Javelin, Frank can speak to this a little bit. So Javelin had a chart on their plat. This is the 9-1 subdivision off Butler. They had a chart, and the chart gave individual setbacks for every single house. You recall that when you file plats, there's no plat dimensions, but when you file the plat, that sets the plat dimensions. The applicant discovered a mistake in that chart, and they cannot build in accordance to that chart. So we had discussed this with them and recommended that they come back in for amended approval and then set all of the setbacks a uniform amount. So this lot didn't have any.
This way they don't have to do with each lot.
Correct, yeah, which is typical what we do. This application is so old that that might be practiced before that, and I don't know. So that's the only one on. Now, normally I'd say, would you like to push that off? But in this particular case, and Frank, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think Frank can issue a building permit unless it's in accordance with the approved plan, and the approved plan, the applicant cannot build it right now.
So
that
that-
would be
This is,
considered a building
this is
permit.
when we on the paddock,
Yes. Yeah.
and they want more than one building permit?
I don't know.
No, they're coming in for one permit now. But yeah, just exactly like Sean said, the numbers don't work out. If I stick to the setbacks that are on the plat now, there's really no room for error. And in fact, for lot one, the total side yard setback that's on the plat, on the table exceeds what the lot is. So it just doesn't make any
Doesn't make
sense.
sense. Okay,
Yeah.
So my question kind of is whether or not they could put, they're allowed to at this point in time build one house on the lot anyhow.
Right, so the
Can they locate one that's gonna work?
No, the one there, we tried.
Okay, I thought maybe they could,
Yeah.
this one will work right here.
good try, Neil.
Yeah.
I thought so.
Where is Javelin again?
Butler Drive, behind the
Behind
paddock.
It's,
Parallel to the Heritage Trail, 8 homes.
Butler Drive in the village.
Nine.
Maybe 9, yeah.
The next question is, October 3rd is the second night of Rosh Hashanah. Who will not be here and who can be here?
I can
Jeremy?
be here.
Can, I think I'll be here.
You think you'll be here?
Yeah.
Maybe. Neil, you'll be
Yeah, I
here?
can be here.
Eric?
Yes.
Marty?
Yeah, of course.
All right, so
So
you
we
guys-
have a quorum at the very least.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, it should be a relatively short meeting, and I assume that you're just going to schedule a public hearing and authorize
It could even be a record.
I don't
I
tell
doubt
that.
that.
We need the public hearing on this?
It's an amended subdivision, yeah. Yeah, I know. This is
No,
one of those
we're
problems.
gonna meet
we
that
can't
night just to set the public hearing?
I guess you can set it now, or,
I think we should have public hearings for
Well, you would need to
pools,
issue
right?
it, since it's a subdivision, you need to do it.
We would
the
need
day
what?
before.
okay, that's right.
What would we need?
Since it's a subdivision, you have to complete seeker before holding the public hearing, which, I mean, you could do it the same night, so I guess.
Yeah, I guess you could schedule a
Yeah.
public hearing.
Why don't we,
I can tell you why. We talked about it. Seriously, you know, we really studied this. The reason was the notice. Unless you would have to get the notice out tomorrow.
I get them out tomorrow.
You can, okay, all right, because Kelly is, I think, sick, so I don't know if she's around tomorrow, but if you can do it, then great. Then we can schedule it.
Yeah, she can show
I
Why
just
would
need
I commit you?
I would just need the information out the.
Do you want to write it, or you want me to write it?
We can write it, what time would you need it tomorrow?
Whenever you get
So you're gonna set the
Okay.
public hearing for the
I
third?
can, I just need
Yeah.
it by end of business tomorrow.
Okay, sure.
So, either way,
All right.
I
Yeah,
like the ones
we'll
from the
get it to you.
ZBA, so either way.
And then for secret, we just agree that we accept the prior secret approval, right? We don't do anything special.
Yeah, I mean,
Reaffirm.
assuming.
Reaffirm, right.
Very old. It got original approval, I think, in 2009, and then I don't remember when it got final approval, I'm sorry.
Okay.
But you just have
Yeah,
to
you'll
complete
be,
secret.
you'll have to
before.
make that determination or,
Okay.
and then get before opening the hearing. but- So would it be setting the hearing for
10/3.
October 3rd?
I'm okay with that.
Anything else?
So a motion to schedule
Come on,
public hearing
come on,
for
Jeremy.
the Javelin amended subdivision?
For October 3rd, 2024, 7:30 or thereafter. Could I have said motion?
Motion.
Diana, second by Neil.
Good.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Against?
You want to also authorize a resolution so it can, doesn't have to go to the county. It's within the heritage trail yet, but we can refer it now and ask them for a response.
Could have done that a lot of them here.
Yes.
End of it.
Might be the last time on that. So you would have the resolution and then you could act on it if you have a response from the county.
Could I have motion to authorize council to prepare a conditional resolution of approval to be prepared for that evening? Eric, second by.
Yeah.
Neil, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Against? So that will be it. So does anyone else have any issues before we close the meeting? Could I have a motion then to close the meeting?
I'll try some more.
Diane, a second by
I'll say.
Marty, all in favor?
Aye.
Against?
Motions.